meatball this
I
size.
was about to be like, wait, hang on, what is the potato?
No, the meatballs are like this.
Okay, that's
Roughly.
still quite a big
And then
potato.
oh, now you killed my
meatball,
concept.
sorry,
I don't know what I told you and what I haven't told you.
I'm feeling quite down
Anyway.
today, actually. I just realized as soon as
Why?
I don't know. I need some like energy booster.
Would you like a coffee?
I mean, if you could make me one, that would be great.
What?
Mama
I don't know what the weather is. Yeah.
I think, you know what it is? I lay in the sun for like a full-on 30 minutes earlier.
I've always wondered why, if you fall asleep in the sun, you feel like absolute
Drained.
afterwards.
Yeah, you think you're supposed to be rejuvenated because, you know, vitamin D.
Yeah, because you're getting like, yes, vitamin D, like the happy hormones start. You're in the sun, you're on holiday probably, or have nothing to do and chilling. But then you wake up and you're just like, wow.
What have you actually been up to
What are we
today?
talking? Well, I got up.
Questions.
Walked about 5 meters, roughly, to go get a sandwich and a coffee. That I actually told you about, and the sandwich was like, mwah,
Yeah.
muy bueno. Played, I think, 3 hours of Call of Duty.
I need energy, adrenaline.
Yeah.
I have speckled
alright,
eggs, yeah, I'm
it's
just gonna
fine.
have a few.
But anyways, and then I actually just researched synthesizers again, because I saw this review for this one synthesizer that we actually picked.
Yeah.
And the review just like annihilated it. It went through, it was a 1.5 hour review, so like
Was it the
a
one?
big fucking review.
Which synthesizer was that?
Yeah, let's not mention the name.
Oh, right. For a
the
moment there, I
price.
completely forgot the camera was on. It just felt like a normal conversation with you.
Well, it is. And now I'm considering choice 1 and choice 3 again, even though for choice 3 I was like, nah, don't want it. For choice 1 I was like, might not have enough in it. Now I saw reviews where choice 1 was like, best synthesizer in the whole wide world.
Okay, wait, I have a question though. Why did you only look at the reviews now?
No, I did look at the reviews before already, but hadn't found that one specific one that was 90 minutes long. Because I probably scrolled through it.
90
And you look
minutes
for review. 90 minutes, 1.5 hours. And I probably just saw the time. My subconscious was like,
You're like,
no,
nope.
we're not doing that one. Pretty boring video, I must say. Because all he literally did was he went through every single sample sound that was in the synthesizer, which is not even what we want to do because we want to create our own sounds. right?
Yeah.
But the sample sounds in the package that it came with, they just sounded horrible.
I'm still confused what a synthesizer actually does. Like, why is it called a synthesizer and not like a sample maker? Something like.
Because you could even take the sample, right? Imagine or try to think of it as like a guitar sample,
Yeah.
right? And you basically put that in, and then with the different synthesis exercise that you can do, you can still modulate that sample sound. So just to explain
I'm
it to you, in a way, you
modulate
basically...
the synthesizer jargon,
So,
terminology.
okay. So basically, you take the sample,
Yes.
the guitar sample, as like the foundation, and then from there you can still tweak it and change it so it becomes your own somewhat.
We should get to our podcast, otherwise we gotta continue talking about
Okay.
synthesizers.
Do you want to do the intro?
Bronwyn,
Son.
activate personality. Extrovert personality that has been locked in the house for 20,000 years. I think my brain's been fried by the sun. Like, I don't know how successful this podcast is gonna be. I'm gonna be like, wait,
it's
what
fine.
were you
We'll manage.
saying? Hi, people who are watching. Welcome to the Creative Den. It's actually really awkward when we try to intro ourselves without any music. Welcome back, because I can say that because we've had a podcast now. This is our second one, so we can actually say welcome back. And see, now I can't look at you.
Okay, go.
Okay, so this is a podcast aimed on exploring the creative processes, exploring concepts, exploring minds. And yeah, we just kind of want to be open and honest and vulnerable about the struggles that we face during our creativity process. This podcast is called The Creative Den, Episode 2, Toxic Productivity Within the Creative Space. And sounds so
good.
So crispy.
It just
so
rolls off the
I know,
tongue,
right?
doesn't it?
I've experienced a lot with regards to the online pressures, with regards to like creative pressures and choreography pressures. I'm not sure if that's been a thing in the music side of things.
No one really addressed toxic productivity from a creative side of view.
From a creative side.
From a creative side. If you Google it, you find stuff about work toxicity, work being toxic on your psyche, what it does to you. And I mean, all of that basically linked to stress and how that is sort of like a vicious cycle, because the less you're happy with your work or with the output of work, the more stress you put on yourself. And then leading on, that decreases your cognitive ability to think and be productive. So you get even less productive and you get more depressed, and it just keeps going and spiraling out of control.
It's just a cycle of depression. Okay, right. So, disclaimer, before we get anywhere, is that we are not saying that productivity is bad and that you should never work a day in your life and that you should become lazy and eat speckled eggs the whole day, which is what I've done today.
There's a difference between being lazy and relaxing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sorry. Take it a step back. Like, what is quarantine? People are forced to stay at a certain location, right? Which also then means that theoretically they have a lot of time. Out of nowhere, or not really out of nowhere. I mean, there was sort of a demand for it, but huge amounts of content was produced with regards to quarantine, like doing fitness workouts, learning a new language, different cooking recipes, wada. Like, there's so much stuff that you could potentially do, but you never really know where to start. And then if you don't start at all, straight away you feel pressured to, or you feel like
guilty.
You're way behind everyone else, and you feel guilty, and you feel like you're not really accomplishing anything with your life in like a big sort of picture. Like, don't get me wrong, if someone's able to do all of these things in the midst of food and like product scarcity and like terrible situations, like, fantastic. Like, do it. Keep doing it. Keep that motivation up. But if you can't do that, and every day sit down and say, okay, now I'm going to do 4 hours of this. Straight after, I'm going to go to gym. Straight after, I'm going to have this and this meal. Only vegan, only vegetarian, because otherwise I might have cholesterol and blah, 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 blah. Like that. That is bad. That is terrible. And it just leads to you being super duper unhealthy and super duper depressed and sad all the time.
You know, a lot of the first thing that you do when you wake up is go through social media and is go through like your Instagram and Facebook. TikTok. Kind of consider that toxic productivity, because I mean, I created an account because I was like, oh, well, everyone's going to do it and everyone has told me to do it and like everyone said that I'm going to be so good at it. But then I started it and like there's so many challenges, and like if that works for you, great. But like, I'm a very competitive person at heart. I need to English this right because I'm...
I was so getting into that, so I actually didn't say anything. I was like...
So when I go through TikTok and I see some of these challenges, my immediate thought, and I know it shouldn't be this, I know it should be, oh, let's try this challenge, it will be so much fun. But my immediate thought is like, oh, well, how can I do it better? How can I make my TikTok different to the others? And like that thought process for me as a creative, because I'm like, okay, well, I want to make this better. I want to like have that X factor, and then I think about all of that, and then I get stressed about all of that because I feel like I can't pull off something better. Does that make sense? I'm
like,
such
I would rather say,
I don't want to be so competitive.
just give me one example for a challenge quickly.
The
doing a handstand and like putting your shirt on in
it's like, this is like 30 seconds.
For
and you're
example.
like, give me an example. I was like,
yeah, it's just like blank, and you're like, freeze. Okay,
it's
like the
people
do a
ask me my
handstand.
name and I'm totally caught off guard. I'm like, what's my name?
Someone you didn't expect to talk to you, and they go, hi, what's your name? You're like, You're talking to me. So what I wanted to say was, if you look at that challenge and maybe handstands aren't your thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe taking your shirt off and then on and then off. I don't know how it works, but anyway,
Some
maybe that's
magic
not your
trick.
thing either. Yeah, some magic trick. Maybe that's not your thing either, but that's totally fine. Don't feel pressured to keep up with everyone else and creating more output, creating more challenges. Oh, this new thing came out. I have to now do something as well quick because I might lose X amount of followers or whatever. Like it's just bad for you to have that thought process.
So speaking about toxic productivity, we came across a few quotes that could be deemed as toxic productivity. We are just going to go through some quotes and examples of toxic productivity, and we're going to try and break them down and kind of look at the pros and cons of the quotes, because we're trying to figure out for ourselves like how we can avoid slipping into that toxic productivity mindset.
That was good. I like that.
How
Yes.
good was that?
Yeah, you nailed that. Like spot on.
That was
Well
so
done.
cohesive. Successful people wake up at 5 a.m.
That is such rubbish.
People enforce this idea of waking up early and then you'll only be successful. Like successful people wake up early. Toxic productivity 101.
Yeah, because what does getting up early actually mean? Because obviously people that get up early in order to be successful, they don't stop working at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So they will also work late in the evening, right? That's the whole thing behind that quote. So what does it do to you if you get up early and get to bed late? The amount of sleep that you get shrinks.
You know, usually everything's back-to-back meetings, back-to-back this and that. And people are starting to brag about their sleep deprivation. You're being like, oh yeah, no, I only had 5 hours sleep. And then your colleague is like, oh, I was working so hard, I only had 3 hours sleep.
It's
and then you're like,
bro, and I pulled an
okay.
all-nighter, yo. It's like I didn't sleep for a week, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know where it originated from, but it is so true that apparently if you sleep little because you work so much, that is a great thing, and it's like a positive trait to your character. Whereas
I don't know where that came in from.
Yeah, whereas all that it is that it's really harmful to you, and you shouldn't do it. Because, I mean, your body, your temple also needs rest to process what you took in terms of information. If it does, I mean, everyone has their own patterns. If it works for you to work in the morning, well, then that's fine.
Yeah.
It's such a weird balance to find. But I guess the takeaway from that is that only other people make you feel bad about it, or should be able to make you feel bad about it, and you shouldn't beat yourself up on top of that, right?
Everyone has a different idea of what productivity is. Productivity in itself, like the actual concept of it, I think you need to establish it for yourself, and you need to establish, okay, well, what is productivity to you? I don't know, I just wanted to say that because I feel like everyone thinks that there's one level of productivity, and that's learn a new skill, play an instrument, especially through this time. You know, opening a French book and say, I'm going to start learning French again or something is very daunting, whereas if you can just focus on like a word a day is much more manageable. Although even a word a day, you know those word a day things, they irritate me because they're like...
A word a day? That's not a lot.
If I wanted to learn German, okay?
Yeah.
365 words. If I said to myself last year I learned 365 German words,
That's a
all
lot.
I know is Schnitzel. I mean, guten Tag. How do you say I speak German?
Ich spreche Deutsch.
Guten Tag, ich spreche Deutsch. What?
That one. Nailed.
Okay, next quote. Next quote.
Go.
If you are not where you want to be, it's because you don't want it badly enough.
No.
Yeah, I know. It also gives me like
that
shivers.
just gave me a shiver. No, that is so wrong.
And I think it's wrong because number one, there's so many external factors, there's so many internal factors, there's so many obstacles that have nothing to do whether if you want it or not, but it has everything to do with your circumstance surrounding it.
it doesn't take in the time factor and the quality of work that everyone has, or like the cleverness behind it.
I mean, yeah, you pretty much summed it up. I think it just comes down to the fact that, like, just because you are not where you want to be doesn't mean that you don't want it. You know, and it's the same thing, like, just because you can't create now during this lockdown, just because you're getting frustrated doesn't mean you can't create.
There's so many external factors that affect the way you work. And I mean, you wanting to achieve something so badly can also really quickly turn into like a fanatical urge, which then is also bad. If you like do everything to achieve it, you almost turn into this like evil Knievel, and you're like, gotta like achieve.
And you turn into this like Medusa of productivity.
Yeah.
But how long is that gonna last? And that is, I feel like, so important, because you can give into this toxic productivity, you can be busy, you can do this, you can do that, but it's not a sustainable outlook on what you want to achieve in life. Like, you want to be able to maintain, you know, a certain lifestyle rather than...
How does that saying go again? You don't live to work, no, but work to live. No, wait. Work to live, but live to work. Never mind. We'll crop it out.
Live to work, work to live. Live.
Which one's better? Because the saying
work
is something.
To live, live to work. No, I don't want to live to work.
But you work to live.
I work to live, but I don't want to live to work. Because that means my life depends on work.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
It depends on work financially, but I don't want to live to do work.
Yes, exactly. But that analogy quickly applies to these like Medusa, productive, creating machines. Really quickly, their whole life is just about work, and they can't talk about anything but work. And they struggle if they sit at a bar and they talk to a stranger, straight away they talk about their work, and you're like, okay, like,
don't you have any passions in life?
Yeah, what do you do in your free time? Yeah, well, I don't have free time.
That's the example of toxic productivity, because, oh no, I work so hard, like I don't have any free time. And you're like, good on you, I do, and I love it.
Yeah, it's like, I do different things than just like graft every day, but you keep at it. You'll be happy soon.
This comes up in a lot of TV series.
Ooh.
Especially series that have very strong male leads. This quote, I saw it, and the immediate reaction I thought of was Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders, who's a workaholic and does not let any sort of emotion get to him. So the next quote is, turn down your feelings, turn up your hustle. And especially me being an emotional person, like the number of people who have been like, no, like, save the tears for your stage, and, you know, don't cry, it just wastes energy.
Or how they should post these kind of quotes, they should always say, okay, this quote is for a businessman, and this quote is for a painter, and this quote is for a musician. Because that quote, again, the focus group is probably businessmen, right? Or lawyers, people that strike deals and work within the corporate environment. For a businessman, yes. For a musician, no, or for a videographer,
especially not a creative, because feelings determine your creativity most of the time.
Yeah.
Although I still don't feel like it's right for a businessman though, because I think having feelings as a businessman or businesswoman can introduce that empathy that has lacked in centuries before, and that's why women in power. Sorry, my feminism is gonna
it's gonna
take control
overwhelm
now
me as well, but yeah, go.
But like, that's why women in power do so well, is because they have that like nurturing. Why are you looking down?
Because I'm waiting for you to finish it. Because I mean,
I was saying women in power have a lot more empathy than men sometimes.
Okay, that's a whole different discussion. Let's not talk about feminism and how feminines can be better leaders than men. Anyway.
Moving on. Are we gonna agree to disagree?
Yeah, or I win.
No, you don't. Okay, next one.
Next one.
The sofa is the enemy of procrastination. I mean productivity. I feel like yes and no. there's a lot of times where I sit on the sofa doing nothing, but then there's also a lot of times where I sit on the sofa and I'm actually designing while I'm in front of a TV, and like I'm designing what I want to do, and like I'm editing photos, and you can be a little bit more towards yourself, and you can be a little bit more vulnerable to what you want to create because you're in a space that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a reason why Google, for example, has nap pods in their offices.
Has what pods?
Nap, like napping, nap pods.
Wow!
Yeah. So just to bring it back, how many quits do you have left to go through?
None.
None. Oh. Okay. Cool. So.
And then we needed to talk about how to combat toxic productivity. Oh, that's a lot of C's in there.
So heal your self-talk. Because the worst enemy...
That's hard though.
It's super hard. Gosh, it's so hard. First of all, you have to realize that you have bad self-talk. And I said it earlier, you have to realize that you have this really weird relationship with productivity. And I know I definitely have it. Like, I'm not being a hypocrite. I feel bad every single time I'm not doing anything. I have a problem with stillness, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I sit somewhere and I'm not on my phone or
Fidget spinners.
Yeah, like moving my fingers, like I struggle to sit still. So, and then on top of that comes the trash talk to yourself. That you sit on the couch and you're like, yes, you are the laziest piece of trash ever, while you watch some, I don't know, sitcom by yourself. Like, you have to get rid of that. And that's what I mean by heal your self-talk.
Having self-talk is what makes you a better creative. And whether it's negative or positive, it does influence the way you create work.
Yes.
But I think it's also, it's just taking that negative self-talk a little bit further away from your
because I mean,
influence.
Like, basically what we all do is we define self-worth in productivity, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the big error we all do, that we say if you're not productive, you're worth nothing. Your worth is not in what you accomplish throughout the day, but rather in who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it. You are able to use this machine, the camera, video people, and then put it into a piece of work that emotionally affects others. Like, that's incredible. Even if you only have 3 clicks, like, you affected 3 people, unless they gave you a thumbs down, that sucks. but even then, you affected them emotionally so that they don't like it.
You at least affected them.
You're affecting people with it, and that is something so incredible that you can do. And now, if you take it a step further, imagine every single time you have a negative thought about your day, about yourself, and you're basically just like hitting yourself. If you turn that into something positive and say, okay, well, today I didn't work on XYZ project, but I actually sat down, looked after myself, had really good food, chilled the living out of it. Tomorrow I'll feel better again. Like, I'll have more energy to spend on project XYZ, and the potential and ability to come up with something that might even turn your project around to the better.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, you have to ask yourself whether you would have the same expectations for someone that you care deeply for, that you put onto yourself.
Whoa, that's profound.
When you're in that situation and you're trash talking yourself and you're putting pressure on yourself because your churn or your output wasn't up to your expectations.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you would put the same expectations towards someone that you care deeply for. The answer will always be no.
That all comes down to like expectation, and I think a lot of what productivity and toxic productivity is kind of understanding what your expectation is of yourself and lowering that. So
rather be like smart about the goals that you set. And as my takeaway from this is, do not define self-work with productivity. And if you struggle with that, which I do, because I do define my self-work very often in productivity, I try to think of, okay, would I put the same expectations that I put towards myself on anyone else that I care for? And the answer to 99% is always no.
Yeah.
Like it might also
Well,
be.
that's kind of topped any advice that I could give. So. Okay, bye.
And that was for free. Yeah.
Ben with the wise hat.
Yeah, I've got my wizard hat on today.
I feel like I'm
Okay.
about to burst into tears.
Oh no, don't, no, okay.
Men, we don't know what we did.
What is your number one, just to like, well, first of all, thanks for like sticking with us for this long and listening to me blabber about philosophical opinions.
And
But-
me become emotional. This is the classic dynamic of Ben and Bronwyn.
But as
Welcome
like
to
a final,
us.
a final takeaway, what is your final takeaway for people that struggle from toxic productivity and A, might not have realized it, or B, might have realized it but don't know how to tackle it?
Eat cake. Find different hobbies that you don't have any expectation on yourself with. Something that you are not linked with in a previous craft of yours. Something that you don't have to compare yourself to. So I mean something you haven't done in the past, I think.
But like to just close it off, as I said, define clearer boundaries, know how much you can work.
Would you put
know
that
how-
expectation on someone else?
Give yourself the break. When you actually have a rest, have a real rest. Don't be on your phone constantly. Don't like give yourself the time to chill, even if it's talking smack to your mates on Call of Duty or whatever. Like give yourself a rest.
I look
And
forward
then-
to those sessions.
Yeah, and then the second advice I would give is literally trying to heal your self-talk, and that's something I'm daily battling with. And
it's not an overnight
I mean,
fix.
I've got here's some embarrassing insights. Every day at 8 o'clock, I've got an appointment set in my phone every single day that says you are worth more than you think. It just like plops up at 8 o'clock every day. And obviously now I don't read it anymore. I just subconsciously see it. I'm like, oh, okay,
But it's
whatever.
still that
like,
subconscious,
but
like.
it's still that thing. It like so. I'm also like working.
Okay, that's
on
actually not a
healing
bad
myself
idea.
too.
That's the third advice. Set a
That's the
daily
third
reminder.
advice.
You are good
That's-
enough.
That's what works for me personally. And it's don't define your self-worth by the amount of productivity or the amount of outputs that you create.
And the last advice is take every motivational quote from a millionaire with a pinch of salt.
Yes, because it usually is
Don't
directed
believe
at a different
everything
target
you
group.
see.
Yeah, it's literally directed at a different target group and probably doesn't necessarily even affect you, or is not intended to affect you either.
Okay, well, that kind of sums up our toxic productivity talk that went very, very serious. I'm going to have to edit the of this one to make it funny.
Well, but it is a serious topic.
It is a very serious topic. So thanks so much for watching. I am Bronwyn.
And I'm Ben.
I'm like, this is you. This is our outro.
This is your turn. Go.
We'll see you
But
in
we
2
don't-
weeks with another topic.
Yeah, which we don't know yet, but we'll come up with it during the 2 weeks. Unless someone posts a suggestion, which I would also love. If someone says, oh, could you please
That's actually very true.
express your opinion about this and this topic? Like, I would also love
In
that.
the creative industry, we want to focus
Yeah.
on creative industry. That's our niche because we're so good at marketing. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next 2 weeks time.
Stopping the recording.